Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Wacky and Weird Wednesday, our post-April Fools, where I've made sure, I don't know if you've made sure, that stories we're reading are not from April Fools and that they are actual real things that are happening in the world. And, well, let me tell you, humans are at it again. But I don't have any animal stories this time, so... You know, the animals might be saved this week. Can't say about the rest of us. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we've started, and we haven't had any caffeine. We rolled out of bed, rolled onto our computers, and we're here to tell you some headlines for some weird news. Today on Before Coffee, popular Japanese restaurant chain shuts nearly 2,000 outlets after food contamination complaints, and Kadyrov appoints teenage son to supervise Chechnya's interior ministry.
Good morning from the United States, where we're going to talk about hummingbird chicks observed for the first time pretending to be caterpillars to avoid being eaten.
Classified files and MI5 spy artifacts to be released in a National Archives exhibition.
Animal Kingdom news. Scientists stunned by striking behavior shift across hundreds of animal species. Plus, after 96 years, archaeologists finally found the missing part of a legendary statue.
Neil Young says he may be barred from returning to the U.S. over Donald Trump criticism.
And it's National DIY Day. Do it yourself, so do it yourself on Wednesday, which is April 2nd, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Welcome everyone, and I hope you're doing well as we get into this whack. And hopefully nobody's got suffered from any pranks yesterday. You know, nobody lost a limb because somebody thought it'd be funny to put marbles on the bottom of the stairway and you broke your head and got a concussion or anything. April Fool's is more of a child's holiday, anyways. You know.
The only joke I saw was on the show I watched.
Yeah.
Pardon the interruption, which is like a sports show where they count down a list of subjects, where they pretended that the Major League Baseball had banned this new bat that the Yankees are using, called a torpedo bat.
Yeah.
The Yankees hit 15 home runs in the first series of the season, a 3-game series. 15 home runs in 3 games. Because they got these freaking bats that are wide all the way down to about here, right?
Yeah. Instead of tapering gradually, they stay wide all the way down. And now they're just jacking home runs all over the place. A lot of players are using them with the Yankees mostly. A lot of people think that bats are illegal. Well, yesterday they said, their story was, Major League Baseball has banned these bats, and they really kept it up for like 5 minutes, and then they said, April Fools! Anyway. And that was the only one you saw. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't see any myself at all.
I kind of sort of even paying attention to it. It's like, man, baseball's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have 20-run games that nobody's gonna want to watch. I'm sorry, I like home runs, but not every hitter's gonna hit a home run. Come on.
It loses its quality if it's just happening all the time, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a guy with 30 home runs at the end of the month. We're gonna have a problem here. Everybody's gonna be like, what are we keeping track of all these statistics for all these years when we're just gonna throw them all out the window for a new tool that people get to use? Why don't we just let them just use rubber super balls instead of baseballs too, so they can go 10 miles when they hit them. You know? It's like, I don't want to watch baseball if it's a freaking home run derby. Fuck that. Baseball trying to ruin their own sport. Anyway.
Let's go on with our first story by rolling our segue wheel here so that we know what we're doing. Where is it? There it is. Segue wheel.
Got my pen ready. My Sharpie.
All right. Hope this reminds you of a song. At least one of these stories does. Because our first one is about food contamination. Uh-oh. This is from Mari Yamaguchi on AP News. Coming out of Tokyo. A leading Japanese beef bowl chain said it is shutting down almost 2,000 outlets across the country from Monday after a rat and a bug were found in its food. A rat in food? I mean, a bug, I can, whatever. We're going to be eating bugs in 10 years anyways, but a rat? That's huge. Chechnya has apologized to its customers and said it will carry out a deep clean of its stores over 4 days. The company acknowledged that a rat was found in a miso soup. Oh my god! Not a soup. Like, if I found a rat in, like, some rice, I'm like, okay, you know. Let's scoop it out of there. But a soup, like, the whole soup's ruined. Like, the whole stock. Who knows? Served to a customer out of one of its outlets in Tottori, southwestern Japan. It said an investigation found that the rodent entered a refrigerator through a crack in the door. Damn, it was hungry. In a separate incident, a bug was found in food at Tokyo Outlet on Friday, which was the 30th of March. No, that's not right. The 28th of March, Chechnya said. We deeply apologize to the customers who reported the case to us over the tremendous pain and trouble. A company statement said, we also apologize to all our customers who patronize our restaurants and related people for causing tremendous trouble and concerns. Chechnya said it takes the complaints very seriously and decided to carry out a nationwide clean of its outlets, every single one, every 2,000 of them. The company, which is owned by Japanese food industry giant Zensho Holdings, operates 2,000 outlets in Japan and about 660 stores overseas, including China, Singapore, and Mexico. But I'm sure those places are safe. It's very unlucky. Maybe they need to do some more. Usually when this kind of stuff happens, they make all the workers go through safety checks, you know. Alright guys, we gotta relearn all our safety checks. Especially, make sure you close the fridge so that the rats aren't getting into our miso soup. Ugh. I'm losing my appetite. Any songs about that?
It reminds me of a song. It reminds me of, there once was a woman who swallowed a fly, perhaps she'll die. You heard that one? There once was a woman who swallowed a spider. She always jiggled and wiggled and jiggled inside her. She swallowed the spider to catch the fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die. And it goes on. Another woman who swallowed a bird.
Yeah, it sounds like a drinking song.
Very absurd. Very absurd to swallow a bird. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider, to wiggled and jiggled and danced inside her or whatever. And then that song. You swallowed the rat to catch the bug. Swallowed the rat to catch the bug. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, for my next story, we're going to talk about a very interesting case of nepotism. This is on the Moscow Times. Chechnyan leader Ramzan Kadyrov appointed his 17-year-old son Adam to serve as curator of the regional branch of Russia's Interior Ministry. State media in Chechnya reported on Monday, so it wasn't on April Fool's. It was the 31st of March. Broadcaster Vesti Chechnya aired footage of Adam Kadyrov, who turned 17 in November, chairing an Interior Ministry meeting before uniformed police officers alongside Chechnyan Interior Minister Aslan Eroshkanov. Adam Kadyrov, who has received at least 16 state awards, was also shown in appointing new police chiefs and distributing state honors. It's like nepotism up the ass over here. Since 2023, Adam Kadyrov has served as his father's top bodyguard and observer for Rifle Battalion under the Russian Defense Ministry. Earlier that year, how can you be a bodyguard at like 12? Like he's 17 now, so it's like, oh, for years he's been his father's bodyguard. Yeah, I'm an adult, let my child protect me from bullets, you know? Talk about using a child's shield. He was filmed assaulting a Russian teenager and jailed for allegedly burning the Quran at age 15. Adam Kadyrov's appointment follows reporting by investigating outlet iStories last week that his father's ties with President Vladimir Putin have grown strained. The Kremlin reportedly became suspicious of the Chechen leader after learning of alleged secret meetings between him and Middle Eastern officials. Ramzan Kadyrov, 48, has ruled Chechnya with broad autonomy since 2007 in exchange for loyalty to the Kremlin. According to iStories, he was suspected of holding unauthorized discussions about securing his family and assets, possibly in preparation for stepping down due to his allegedly worsening health at 48? Worsening health at 48? God, what is he eating? Or drinking? But there's your story. Those are your two weird and wacky stories for my first section here. Rats in your miso soup. So I guess I was wrong. The animals aren't safe today because there's animals being where they don't belong. And the 17-year-old, I guess 15-year-old bodyguards and 17-year-old ministry curators of regional branch of Russia's Ministry of Interior Affairs.
All I can think of is "Don't let the sun go down on me," which makes the other use of the word "sun," the other spelling. Anyway, better meaning. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely a son, and he's gonna die first. It sounds like bodyguard. All right, now I have to be reminded of a song. Take me away.
Reminded of the song "Hummingbirds," which the only birds I can think of that don't have a song. I just think about that, right? I don't know if I know what sound a hummingbird makes, unless it's in distress, maybe.
Maybe.
They just make a humming sound with their wings. This is from Good News Network. Strangely enough, it's not Good News Day, but hey, there's good news every day. So, hummingbird chicks observed for the first time pretending to be caterpillars to avoid being eaten. This is from Good News Network. No person. When Jay Falk and Scott Taylor first saw the white-necked Jacobin hummingbird chick in Panama's dense rainforest, the bird biologists didn't know what they were looking at. The day-old bird, smaller than a pinky finger, had brown fuzz all over its body. When Falk and Taylor walked closer to the nest, the chick began twitching and shaking its head, a behavior they'd never seen in birds before. It turns out the hummingbird might fend off predators by mimicking a poisoning caterpillar that lives in the same region. Really? In a new paper published on March 17th in Ecology, Taylor, associate professor at University of Colorado in Boulder, and his team described this unusual mimicry behavior for the first time in hummingbirds. "We know so little about what nesting birds do in the tropics," said Falk, the paper's first author and postdoctoral fellow in Taylor's lab. "But if we put more effort into observing the natural world, we might discover these kinds of behavior are very common." The tropical rainforest is a dangerous place for small birds, said Falk, who is a researcher at the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. Snakes, monkeys, birds, and even insects all prey on them. So how can tiny hummingbird chicks survive? Falk and his teams may have stumbled upon the answer during a trip to the Soberania National Park in Panama last year. Despite the bird's frequent visits to Falk's feeders outside the research station in Panama, Falk had never seen a white-necked Jacobin chick or its nest before. But last March, his Smithsonian colleague Michael Castaño and Sebastian Galán Giraldo at the University of Antioquia in Colombia, both co-authors of the paper, discovered a female Jacobin hummingbird incubating an egg in its nest not far from a forest trail. The tiny, well-camouflaged nest was made of plant parts to blend in perfectly with the surrounding environment. Over the following month, the team closely monitored the nest and witnessed a chick hatch from the egg. Unlike most hummingbirds that are born naked.
They're born naked. Oh no.
Yeah, unlike most hummingbirds that are born naked, the Jacobin chick was covered with long brown feathers looking nearly identical to the nest material. That's when the team witnessed the chick's unusual jerking behavior. Scientists had never reported a similar behavior in any other hummingbird species. I started texting a video to people and asking them, "What does this look like?" said Taylor, and invariably they said, "That looks like a caterpillar." It was very exciting. On the second day after the egg hatched, the team saw a predatory wasp approach the chick when the mother was away. As the wasp hovered above the nest, the chick started to twitch its body vigorously like it had for the researchers, swinging its head from side to side. A few seconds later, the wasp flew away. The Jacobin hummingbird chick reminded Falk and Taylor of a paper they'd seen previously reporting that a young Cinereos marner, a songbird native to the Amazonian rainforest, might resemble toxic orange caterpillars from the region, having a bright orange coat and waving its head from side to side when disturbed. In this region of Panama, it turns out that many caterpillars have brown hairs that can give painful stings to predators and even kill them. Some of these caterpillars always shake their heads when they feel threatened, much like the chick. Scientists refer to this survival strategy of mimicking a harmful species as Batesian mimicry. For example, some non-venomous milk snakes have developed a pattern of red, yellow, and black coloring similar to that of venomous coral snakes to ward off predators. A lot of these really classic examples of Batesian mimicry involve butterflies mimicking other butterflies or snakes mimicking other snakes. But here we have a bird potentially mimicking an insect, a vertebrate mimicking an invertebrate, Taylor said. While the study described a single observation, the researchers hope to test their theory in the future through experiments like placing artificial chicks with different looks and behaviors in nests to see which are more likely to be attacked by predators. They also hope to encourage bird watchers and citizen scientists to document more hummingbird nests. So, there is your hummingbird news. Absolutely fascinating.
That's a lot of hummingbird news right there, yeah. That reminds me...
evolutionary thing they developed to ward off predators.
Yeah. Live as it happens. We're seeing it happen right now. Because it wasn't happening before.
Remind you of a song?
Yeah, it did. There's a song called Hummingbird by B.B. King, and the chorus goes like this. Oh, she's little. She loves me too much for words to say. When I see her in the morning sleeping, she's little and she loves me to my lucky day. Hummingbird,
right.
Don't fly away. So, this one isn't flying away. It's pretending to be a caterpillar, so it has to, do this instead of flying away.
One day old, it knows to do this, right? One day old.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, let's roll the wheel for your segue.
Right.
All right, personal story. Let's see. For my next story, we're going to talk about classified files and being a spy. This is from Emily Smith on The Independent. A briefcase abandoned by infamous Cambridge spy Guy Burgess as he fled Moscow in 1951 is among the never-before-seen MI5 artifacts going on display at the National Archives in Kew, southwest London. The exhibition MI5 Official Secrets marks an unprecedented collaboration between the intelligence agency and the National Archives, offering the public a first-ever glimpse into MI5's classified files and private collection. MI5 Director General Sir Ken McCallum said the exhibition reflects the security service's ongoing commitment to being open whenever we can. Among the key items on display is Burgess's leather briefcase, embossed with his initials and left behind at London's Reform Club as he made his escape to Moscow in May 1951. Okay. Burgess's British passport is also being exhibited for the first time. Cancelled, I think is what it said. Passport has been cancelled. This guy was a spy. Burgess was a British diplomat and Soviet double agent during the Second World War and the early Cold War period. Wow, that's a long time. He was a member of the Cambridge 5 spy ring and fled to Moscow with fellow spy Donald Maclean in 1951 due to fears of being discovered. None of the Cambridge 5 were ever prosecuted for spying. Oh, interesting. In the briefcase, you can find a lemon, a moldy expired lemon, which they use for their invisible ink, right? A 110-year-old lemon uses evidence against German spy Karl Mueller. Mueller used the lemon juice as invisible ink to inform on British troop movements. A warm ire was passed over the letter to reveal a secret message. When he was arrested, the lemon was found in his overcoat. He was executed by firing squad at the Tower of London in 1915. Damn!
Wow.
Well, that was the era of killing people by firing squad. Speaking at a preview at the exhibition, the MI Director General said, "Having worked for the MI5 for nearly 30 years, I can tell you that the reality of our work is often different from fiction. Whether that fiction is George Smiley or Jackson Lamb. MI5 life is about ordinary human beings together doing extraordinary things to keep our country safe. Some of their stories and their perspectives come through in this exhibition. And while some of our work must remain secret, what you will see here today reflects an ongoing commitment to being open whenever we can, and not just about our glorious moments. Public trust and confidence can be even more powerful understood when we are able to open about things that didn't go well, Sir Ken added. The display also includes a note confirming that Queen Elizabeth II's private secretary had spoken to the Queen about Anthony Blunt, the monarch's art advisor, being a Soviet agent, which was featured in the Crown TV show on Netflix. That, people are always saying, oh, this stuff didn't happen like that, or these things didn't occur, but it seems like that was something that really did happen. The note mentions how the Queen reacted very calmly and without surprise. I did think he was a little Russian, I don't know. In total, 20 items were loaned, including MI5's first camera and a key to the Communist Party of Great Britain's Westminster branch office. It included items dating from the foundation of MI5 in 1909 to modern-day artifacts such as Provisional Irish Republic Army motor bomb and reconstruction of a bomb made from an instant camera and bottle. Oh, that's so cool. I mean, it's awful, but it's cool. They get the battery out of the instant camera, and then they take a picture. They probably put it on a timer, and then that burns through the plastic of the bottle, and then explosion. Wow, so creative. Mark Dutton, historian and curator of MI5 Official Secrets, said, "We were aware of how interested the public are in the whole world of espionage. We suggested the exhibition first, but MI5 thought about it, and they thought, wow, yes, that's a pretty good thing. In terms of openness, it's all about being open about what they can, which I think is really, really good thing." So, if you want to see the wacky world of espionage, you can check out the MI5 Official Secrets from April 5th to September 28th at the National Archives in Kew, London. And admission is free. I could go. I'd take the train and go right now. The only thing it costs me is a ticket. Or I could take the bus. That's even cheaper. Like 50 euros for a bus to London over the ferry. Anyway, I currently can't leave the country at the moment, but maybe by September I can. But there's my story on spies.
Personal stories what we're looking for, right?
Yep.
I as a personal story, I used to have a security clearance for years and years and years and years and years and years. A lot of secrets, never gave them away, never thought about giving away. I don't know any secrets anymore, but I do know a little Russian. Yeah, his name is Dmitry. He's about this tall. Anyway, there's your his bad joke.
Dmitry.
Anyway, spin the wheel. Or unless you do.
No, I want to continue watching you awkwardly tell your story.
Oh, my story with the little Russian. Okay.
All right. Okay, the spinning on this wheel is broken. Now I have to tell a personal story. Let's go.
Broken, man. I have to reset it. Maybe make them spaces some colors.
I think I'll just make it double so it's like Wheel of Fortune or something.
Wheel of Fortune. It'd be harder to read though if you make them too small. Anyway, this is the shorter. Let's do the longer story. This is from the cooldown.com. Alexis McDonald. Scientists stunned by striking behavior shift across hundreds of animal species. And the quote says, "That is not always correct." This is from Alexis McDonald, as I already said. There's a big picture of 3 black bears. "We like to think we have families figured out. Owls prowl at night, squirrels scamper by day, and bears sleep through the winter. But it turns out wildlife isn't following our rule book, and a new global study reveals just how much their schedules are shifting in ways never expected. What's happening? A massive study led by researchers from the University of Rhode Island and Colorado State University found that the presence of humans is dramatically altering daily schedules for many animals, Earth.com reported. By analyzing 8.9 million wildlife images from camera traps across 38 countries, 8.9 million, wow. Scientists discovered that more than half, or 61% of the 400 mammal species studied, don't follow the activity patterns we've assumed for years. In other words, we think we know shit when we really don't. Anyway, and 74% changed their activity in response to humans. I expected some variation, but basically most species that we had adequate data on showed they would change their diel activity. That's what diel, D-I-E-L. Their diel activity, said Brian Gerber, the lead researcher of the study. Some animals have become night owls, literally, to steer clear of human activity, while others are embracing the daylight, possibly lured by city lights or the promise of an easy meal. These findings challenge our long-held beliefs that animal behavior is set in stone. The most striking thing is that when you are taught an animal is diurnal, that word diurnal, or not, or as nocturnal. Diurnal is opposite of nocturnal. I did not know that. Diurnal or nocturnal, this is not always correct, Gerber explained. Why is this change in behavior concerning? Despite an animal's routine isn't a small change. Let's do that again. Disrupting an animal's routine isn't a small change. It can have serious consequences. Animals that suddenly find themselves navigating an unfamiliar time of day may struggle to hunt, find food, or avoid predators. It's not only about survival. These shifts could lead to more unexpected run-ins with humans. A nocturnal animal suddenly venturing out in daylight might wander into traffic, and a species that's not normally out in the daytime could find itself in the wrong place at the wrong time when predators are looking. These disruptions ripple through entire ecosystems, throwing off a delicate balance that keeps nature in check. This is yet another example of how human expansion forces wildlife to adapt in ways that they weren't built for. Some species might be able to keep up, but others, the rapid changes could be too much, contributing to population declines and threatening biodiversity. What's being done about it? Conservationists are finding ways to reduce human disruptions to wildlife. Efforts like creating a safe migration corridors, those are smart. The ones that bridges that go across the highways so animals can take them. Protecting green spaces and dimming artificial lights help animals stick to their natural rhythms. Some cities have even launched a dark sky initiatives to cut excessive nighttime lighting, making it easier to nocturnal creatures to stay on schedule.
That'd be nice.
At an individual level, small actions make a difference. Reducing outdoor lighting, securing trash bins to deter scavengers, and supporting conservation projects all help. Scientists are tracking these shifting patterns, and their research is shaping smarter solutions. The right efforts, we can give wildlife the space, time they need to adapt. There's your story. Do you have a personal story?
Of course I have a personal story about this one, because I am, in myself, a night owl. I hate the light, even right now where I have lights facing me, but it's from my green screen, not from my... Like, I kind of need to get shields here so I could block them. I work better at the nighttime, and I like the sun, don't get me wrong. I love the warm laser that is the sun, right? But I just feel... I like bats, too. Actually, bats are one of my favorite animals. They're not elephants, but they're one of my favorite. And bats really love eating those mosquitoes, and they don't like the sun. So if we could just lower all the lights. I liked this initiative, actually, that happened in Europe. I think in Chechnya or somewhere in Eastern Europe. They did this initiative where they turned all the lights into blue lights instead of red lights. And they found that people were much more calmer, and they were less aggressive. And also the animals loved it because it's not as bright. It's much darker. But, there's my personal story about light bulbs, I guess.
Realize that light is a radio frequency. It just happens to be a radio frequency we can see.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I have a personal story about this. Is when we lived in Oklahoma and worked at the bomb factory. That deer, which are nocturnal, they usually come out at sunset to eat to avoid predators. The deer were out all day long. They're because of the bombs. The bombs
really?
Were going off. They couldn't sleep during the day because of the bombs. They set off bombs every day at 11 o'clock, and kaboom! The deer are like, God damn, can't no restaurant this damn place. Anyway, you got another story? Sorry.
Nope.
I got another story.
I got another story.
I do.
Yeah,
I got another story. This is a shorter story. This is from popularmechanics.com. After 96 years, archaeologists finally found the missing part of a legendary statue. This is from Darren Orff. In 1930, German archaeologists, these are your bullet points at the start. In 1930, German archaeologists uncovered the lower half of a massive statue, estimating that likely originally stood some 23 feet tall. Now, U.S. and Egyptian archaeologists have announced the discovery of the long missing top half in thankfully pristine condition. A proposal has already been submitted to unite the bottom with the long missing top half, and the discoverers are confident of its approval. So 96 years ago, the German archaeologist Gunther Roeder unearthed the lower half of what would have been a massive 23-foot tall statue of Ramses II, one of the most celebrated pharaohs through all of the 31 dynasties of ancient Egyptian history. Roeder found the statue 150 miles south of Cairo in the Minya Governorate, near the modern-day city of El Ashmounian. In ancient times, the area along the Nile was known as Chechnya. It served as a provincial capital in the Old Kingdom of Egypt, and was later called Hermopolis Magna when Romans ruled the Mediterranean. This was in the years 249 to 2130 BC. That was 2,500 years before Jesus, in other words. Many treasurers of the region's illustrious past were known to be buried in the surrounding desert, and while Roeder's discovery proved remarkable, the rest of the enormous statue he found remained lost to time until now. In March of 2024, the Egyptian archaeologists, in partnership with the U.S. experts, announced that after 96 years, they finally found the missing upper half of Roeder's statue. Speaking with Reuters, the experts from the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiques reported that the upper half stretched some 12.5 feet tall and depicted Ramses wearing a headdress topped with a royal cobra. That's right. So, however, the discovery of this ancient statue and exquisite preservation was far from certain when the statue was first discovered lying face down in January of 24. One problem with Hermopolis is that it is close to the Nile. After the building of the Aswan Low Dam, the water table became a huge issue. There was no guarantee that the stone would be okay. Ivanka Turnheim, assistant professor of plastics at the University of Colorado Boulder and co-leader of the team, said in a press statement, "Sometimes sandstone is uncovered that is basically just sand or degraded limestone. It should have just been a lump of rock. It could have just been a lump of rock. Luckily, after further excavation, the team confirmed that the statue was remarkably well preserved. It contained an amazing find. Traces of blue and yellow pigment could be found in the statue's surface. Hopefully, the further analysis of this pigment will help researchers understand the context of the statue's creation as well as the original appearance." I thought it was in pristine condition. Anyway, we knew it might be there, but we were not specifically looking for it, Turnka Armheim said in a press statement. It was possible that the rest of the statue might be there, but it was a total surprise. Thankfully, the hunch proved correct, and the Egyptian co-leader Bassam Jarrad has already submitted a proposal to reunite the two pieces together at long last. They can't just do it. Roeder's lower half still remains on site in El Ashmounian. Turnka Armheim expects it to be approved. There's your story on the finding of the upper part of the statue that's been missing for, almost 100 years.
Yeah, it was just in that rubble somewhere. We found it.
Buried.
It reminds me of when I accidentally broke a statue myself, and I still have a part of it as a lesson to watch where I'm going, because it was very emotional. It wasn't my statue that I broke, so the person who made it was very sad, and it was heartbreaking to see. That was my favorite statue, and you dropped it on the floor and shattered into pieces. And I felt really bad, and
Jeez,
I still have a part of it.
Punish yourself forever for that.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Absolve yourself of your sins. It's okay. You made a mistake. Get over it. You're
Anyways,
just human, all right?
that's my personal story. I've added 2 new things to the wheel now. I was also added a hypothetical and ask for advice. I added that as well, and I've also doubled it all up. So let's see what we roll on this. Now, 20 things on the wheel. Technically, it's only 11, but it's 22 things together. So I'm just trying to make this not repeat the same thing every time. That's all I want.
Okay, I don't think it's gonna work, but let's
We've
go.
got all the colors of the rainbow now.
All right. Spin that sucker down.
All right, give me a bad pun for Neil Young. More like Neil Old, am I right? Ha ha ha. Anyways, that was an easy one. This is from David Morquant on Your News Culture. Remember freedom of speech? The Canadian-U.S. dual citizen speculates he may be barred or put in jail to sleep on a cement floor after his European tour after years of criticizing convicted felon Trump. Legendary Canadian-U.S. singer-songwriter Neil Young has expressed concern that he may not be able to return to the U.S. If I talked about Donald J. Trump, I may be one of those returning to America who is barred or put in jail to sleep on a cement floor with an aluminum blanket. 79-year-old folk musician writes on his Neil Young archive site, referring to the administration's detaining of travelers for weeks, deporting and detaining immigrants over their political views, and what actress Jasmine Mooney endured last month. The Canadian actress said in an interview that she was detained in inhumane conditions for nearly 2 weeks by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials. Early March, she tried to cross at the U.S.-Mexico border in hopes for a work visa, and instead of being granted entry or sent back to Mexico, which would be the normal thing you do, oh, sorry, you're not allowed to be entered. Please go back to where you came from. No, we're gonna put you in jail. She was detained. This is the weird fucking thing about this whole thing. That is happening all the time now, continues Young. If I come back from Europe and am barred, can't play my USA tour, all the folks brought tickets will not be able to come to a concert by me. Several European countries have updated their advice about travel to the US, with Germany emphasizing that a visa does not guarantee entry to the US, and Denmark urging caution to trans and non-binary travelers. The Netherlands also said, don't go there. Just don't go there. Young Love's Earth World Tour is set to kick off on the 18th of June in Rättvik, Sweden. He will tour Europe, including a bill-topping set at Glastonbury in June, of course, followed by North American dates beginning on the 8th of August. I love America and its people and its music and its culture, Young writes. If the fact that I think Donald Trump is the worst president in the history from our great country and could stop me from coming back, what does that say for freedom? Remember freedom of speech. By the latest actions of the U.S. government, it seems that those who speak freely with their own opinions are now vulnerable to non-existent Trump law. He continues, that's right, folks. You say anything bad about Trump or his administration, you may be barred from re-entering the USA. You're Canadian, you're a dual citizen like me, who knows? We'll find that out together on June 8th. Not June 8th. What was it again? August 8th. Young has a history of being critical of Trump. After he became the president in 2020, he penned an open letter calling the president a disgrace to the country. The same year, he filed a copyright infringement lawsuit against Trump over his unauthorized use of the song Rockin' in the Free World, imaging what it feels like to hear Rockin' in the Free World after this president speak, like it's his theme song, he wrote at the time. I did not write it for that. Musician concludes his most recent post by invoking the Pledge of Allegiance, one country indivisible, with liberty and freedom for all. Remember that? I do. So there is your wacky and weird news about, the stuff that's been going on. Everyone's been talking about it, of course, but Neil Young, gonna be another famous person who might be jailed up. Yeah. Instead of just sent, so weird. So weird. It's like the weirdest thing. Like, I can't think of a place in the Western world that says, instead of us, right, saying, oh, you're not allowed to enter, please leave, we're going to put you in jail for 2 weeks with taxpayer money, pay for your food or whatever, your water, and then send you to where you belong. Just do it on that first day, Why are you detaining people for 2 weeks and making people pay for it, right? Tax money to pay for that.
They send them to prison in El Salvador.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So weird. So bizarre. Anyways, that's my weird story. Do you have a bad pun?
Yes, I do. This only goes to prove that Mr. Young will not kneel before anyone. Thank you.
Neil. Great.
The Neil pun. Right.
Household laughter. So you gotta get that laugh in. Let me roll my segue, and I saw that you sent me a video.
Right.
From Neil Young.
Hopefully Neil doesn't block it, but it's an interview.
Oh my god, it is messed up, dude. It just rolled the same thing again. Oh, that's crazy. I'm gonna delete it and re-add it.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do. It rolled bad punning. I'm gonna roll it twice. No, I want to roll it twice to see what happens. You have to roll it twice in order to get a different result. Here we go. This is what you want from me. A limerick. There we go. That's something.
You can do a pun because that was your first spin.
No, I'm gonna write a limerick.
All right. So
I'm allowed one reroll, and that's my reroll. Okay.
Okay. Limerick time about this day in history, which is a tough one. But anyway, get busy. 1513. I'm gonna talk slow. Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon landed in the east coast of Florida. Of course, he was the guy looking for the Fountain of Youth, and he didn't find it. So that's what happened on this day, April 2nd. April 2nd, 1681. King Charles II of England officially proclaimed the charter he had granted in March to William Penn for the Quaker colony of Pennsylvania, North America. Way to go, King Charles II, in 1681. In 1865, in the face of advancing Union forces, Confederate troops evacuated Richmond, the capital of the Confederate States of America, during the American Civil War, as the South continued to lose. In 1891, German sculptor and painter Max Ernst, who was leading advocate of irrationality in art, was born. In 1914, British actor Alec Guinness was born. Happy birthday to Alec Guinness, who did he play? He played Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was known for the variety and excellence of stage and screen and characterizations. Sir Alec Guinness. So happy birthday to him. 1914, heck, he's 121. Or I'll say 111. In 1917, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson asked Congress for a declaration of war against Germany, and he got it, by golly. In 1968, Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey had its world premiere in Washington, D.C. It became a classic, setting the benchmark for sci-fi films. In 1978, the soap opera Dallas debuted. It's a 5-part miniseries on American television, hugely popular. It became a running series and revolutionized primetime dramas. Who Shot JR was a cliffhanger that lasted all summer of whatever year it was. I want to say 1980, 81 or something. In 1982, Argentine troops seized the Falkland Islands, precipitating the Falkland Islands War with Britain, or as they call them, I said this was joke before, as they call them in Brooklyn, the Falkland Islands.
There's your pun.
They off our Falkland Islands.
Yeah.
Anyway, 1992, American organized crime boss John Gotti was convicted of 13 criminal counts, including the murder of Paul Castellano and others, racketeering and obstruction of justice, and was sentenced to life in prison. And of course, his family got a reality show. Yo, if you're a gangster, your family gets a reality show. Growing Up Gotti. I don't know if you've heard of it. 2015, Portuguese filmmaker Manuel de Oliveira, who is known for richly meditative and often self-reflective films that were frequently inspired by literary and theatrical works, died at the age of 106. Oh man, rest in peace. 106. What? Oh. That's a lot of time. I hope he didn't have any regrets after 106 years. On this day in history, also, we have our featured event. Pope John Paul II died this day in 2005. I remember this. I was driving around Arizona. I heard the news. He was Pope for quite a while. Yeah. Bishop of Rome and head of the Roman Catholic Church from 1978. Pope John Paul II, who was the first non-Italian Pope in 455 years, and the first from a Slavic country. He was from Poland. Died in the Vatican City on this day in 2005. Of course, the current Pope is from South America, so they definitely broke with tradition. Charlemagne, also our featured biography, is Charlemagne, who was born somewhere in the Holy Roman Empire in 747 on April 2nd. They think in 747, and died January 28th at 814 in Aachen, Germany. Charlemagne was the Holy Roman Emperor, one of the biggest, well-known rulers of Russia, and that rap guy took his name. There's a famous song by Steely Dan called Kid Charlemagne, which is a guy who basically invented a really good form of LSD. Anyway, we're going to more birthdays in history. Hans Christian Andersen, the Danish author, was born in 1805. We did Alec Guinness. Marvin Gaye's birthday today. We did the other day where he was anniversary of him being shot. Well, today is his birthday. In 1939, American singer and composer Marvin Gaye is born. Camille Paglia, American academic, born in 1947. Emmylou Harris's birthday, born on the same day, 1947. Love me some Emmylou Harris, American singer and songwriter. Love me some Emmylou. And National Day Calendar. There's a lot of things today. It's National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. Nice to know. National Walking Day. If you can walk, it's your day. It's National Ferret. If you're a ferret that can walk, it's really your day. And if you're a ferret that can walk and eat peanut butter and jelly, oh boy. It's Child Help National Day of Hope. Oh, we definitely need hope. That's what we need. And it's also National DIY Day. Do-it-yourself day, which is what we do. We do everything ourselves because we're too cheap to pay anybody. So those are your days. Those are your spins of the wheel, your nonsense, your ridiculously weird news, your animal histories, everything. For April 2nd, 2025 on Before Peanut Butter and Jelly.
Peanut butter jelly time. I wish I got reminds me of a song because I would be able to do that one. But instead, it's also, before we do my limerick, it's also World Autism Awareness Day for our UN international observances. So, since 2007, the UN has designated April 1st the World Autism Awareness. So be aware of autism and its spectrum, right? And how everyone's brain's different, honestly. I don't even believe in putting ourselves in autism versus non-autism. I think we all have a little bit of autism. I think all our brains, there's no way, right? With organic things like our brains, that we all have the same one and they all act exactly the same, and that there's people with way crazier ones. Some people just are wired differently, and you need to give them the care they need and give them the support they need for their differently wired brains. My brain is wired different. You have ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD, so your brain is super rewired. It's like messed up because for 60 years of ADHD, you know?
That's what it is. I'm just super intelligent.
Of course, yeah.
That's what it is. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, all right.
It makes me feel good.
You can have both. But anyways, keep your mind on everyone with advancing neurodiversity and getting those people the support they need. For my not my segue, yeah, that's what it's called. Let's go to my limerick, which is this day in history marked by strife, because we had World War II in the Falklands Islands, yet also peace and a nation's life. Quaker values shone bright as freedom's beacon took flight. In the face of adversity, a courageous strife. So there you go. Quakers, famously people who actually believed in equity between the sexes, especially back then in the 1800s when no, sorry, the 1700s, when people are like, women can't go to school. And the Quakers are like, hey, women can do whatever the fuck they want. They're human beings. Thanks, Quakers. I wish that is the, instead of republicanism, or I wish Quakers became the, no, the Whig Party, right? The Whigs. I wish the Whigs became the primary party of the U.S.
Richard Nixon was born a Quaker. What happened to him?
He's not, I don't know, he's not a crook, okay? Alright, but this has been Alton here from the Netherlands. Yeah, Roger from the west coast of the US as he does his Nixon impression. As we finish up another wacky and weird Wednesday here, I hope you learned a bunch of new stuff and all the weird stuff that's been going on. Stay away from tsukayas in Japan until they get their rats out of their miso soup. And if you see a caterpillar, it might be a hummingbird. I don't know what to say. Oh yeah, subscribe to the YouTube. Turn on those notifications for tomorrow, which is our Thursdays 13. We're going to drop a list of 13 things on a list. That's why I said the word list. Let me see list one more time. So make sure you don't miss that episode. Take care of yourself out there. And let's go to our short and sweet mic drop moment.
I want it up as loud as it can go without feeding. I want to hear thing.
Got that fisheye lens.
Mr. Grunt.
You wrote even
The
Richard
Godfather
Nixon
of
has a
grunge.
soul.
That's right. I still believe that.
Would you write a song to
Oh, with
called
Crazy
Donald
Horse, too,
Trump
yeah.
Has Got a Soul?
No, that couldn't be a song. Are you kidding? That's not a song.
It wouldn't. That's too far.
I don't know. Anyway,
It still wouldn't
you know,
work.
I hope the people vote him out, and I hope there's somebody reasonable to put back in there when they get rid of him. I've seen some good people. You know, I don't want to be politics is not really what I want to do.
He's just calling out assholes.
It's about
yeah.
you know, being aware of what's going on. This album is a human album. It's about feelings of, you know, and the world that we're living in. And, you know, I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know how
He's just
how
a man.
things are going to change. I only know that I'm just one person, and I have thoughts and ideas, and I put some of them in this record. And I don't have a conclusion other than we really need to get serious about,
For sure.
you know, about changing the way we're living.
That sounds great, though. What a great sound.
Thank you.
Neil and his old codgers getting it done.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.